Welcome back. The ANC in Northwest says it's all systems go for the second part of its elective conference this weekend. That's as some members threaten further court action to try have the gathering and its decisions set aside. A high court has dismissed their application. The provincial conference elected new leaders earlier this month. Our reporter Moloko Moloto is following developments in Rustenburg. He joins us now. A very good morning to Moloko. So, there's still a lot of fighting happening in the Northwest. There is leadership, I think, of the five head positions of course, the provincial ANC. But are we going to actually see this conference come to its conclusion?
Well, good morning, Tim. Of course, when you speak to the ANC leaders, the provincial secretary, Louis de Remelo, as well as the leader or the convener of ANC NEC deployees to this province, Mr. Obed Papela, they'll tell you it's all systems go. They'll tell you that they are not going to be disturbed by anything. However, we know that there are efforts underway. Firstly, as you correctly put it, there was a court case, a ruling on Thursday, wherein the High Court in Mahikeng dismissed an urgent application by disgruntled members of the ANC who had wanted to stop this conference from continuing. However, the application was dismissed, the urgency of it. However, they are saying, those who lost, that look, the merits were not ventilated. Now they have elevated the court action to the Constitutional Court. We spoke to their lawyer, Bongani Ziziwe, yesterday, who confirmed that he actually filed papers in the Constitutional Court where he's seeking direct access and also an urgent application, primarily to declare that conference, which began during that weekend of the 12th, 13th, and it ended on the 14th of August, unlawful. They argue that it actually violated the constitution of the ANC. One of the reasons they say is that the NEC was the one that was running that conference, arguing that it was supposed to be the PEC. In the absence of the PEC, as we know, it's been disbanded when Supra Mahuma Pelu and his colleagues were disbanded a few years back. They argue that they should have been in place an interim structure which had been constitution in accordance with the constitution. You'd recall as well that going into that weekend meeting, the interim structure that had been there, led by Hlomane Chauke, was actually found to be unlawful because it had exceeded its 3 months mandate. So the ANC was ordered that while those who were there could be part and parcel of the conference as interim structure, but they were not allowed to vote. So the disgruntled members had won that round. Of course, they lost on Friday. We now know that they now want to elevate the matter to the Constitutional Court. We wait to see whether there would be developments, of course, during the course of the day as to whether they will be able to win. And so far, what we're hearing from the ANC is that the conference is certainly continuing.
So, essentially, it could be fair to say that the disgruntled members, have got the wind taken out of their sails, and that, this conference will continue, it'll conclude, and we will then be able to focus on the National Elective Conference. On that National Elective Conference, how detrimental will this protracted conference be of the Northwest, in the bigger scheme of things when we move into December? Will it even matter?
Well, firstly, Morena, beyond the court actions that we are seeing, there's another challenge, but this one is more internal within the ANC. There are another group of disgruntled ANC members, and some of them are leaders. For instance, Bitsa Lenkopane, who is the convener of the ANC Women's League in this province. And the convener is more at the level of chairperson, Morena. So it's a very powerful position. Together with another convener of Ngaka Modiri Molemo, which includes the city or town of Mahikeng, Ndate Tato wa Magogodi, and other few members. They have written a petition complaint to Lutuli House asking the top six, the officials of the ANC, to dissolve the leadership of the province that was elected during that weekend, because they are raising more or less similar issues. Some of the issues, they say, for instance, the so-called credentials report was adopted while some delegates were still registering. Basically, they are tarnishing the credibility of the credentials. But the other thing they complain about, which the ANC has acknowledged to have happened, was that there were duplicates accreditation tags. So these unhappy members of the ANC are saying that there are people who were not supposed to vote, and because they were holding duplicate tags, they voted. They also argue that some of their members were or delegates who were nominated from their branches, they argue that were not allowed to vote, and they believe those who were not allowed to vote were going to vote for them, because Biza Lenkopane contested for the position of deputy chair. She lost. And Ndate Tato Wamagogodi actually wanted to contest for the position of provincial secretary, and he withdrew at the floor. So these are people who lost. Now, as for the impact of this conference on the national political landscape, of course, when the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, certainly all indications are that he wants a second term. There will obviously, by the look of things, be people who may want to contest. So this particular province will certainly be divided going there. If this divisions continue to persist, it will be difficult for them to unite behind. But also, another factor, Morena, is that the current premier of this province, Ndate Bushimape, you'd recall he contested and he lost for the position of provincial chairperson to Nono Maloyi. So naturally, we know that the ANC, both across the provinces, usually, or even at national level, or at regions in particular, when they vote, they tend to vote according to slates.
Yeah.
So Maape having lost to the position of chairperson, it remains to be seen whether they will be magnanimous and say, let us include him in the additionals so that he can become the provincial executive committee member of the ANC. Otherwise, he will be a premier who is unstructured if he is not elected.
It's going to be an interesting weekend, and we will definitely be catching up with you, Moloto, throughout the course of today, throughout the course of this weekend, as well as we see, at least hopefully, the conclusion of the ANC provincial conference, of course, elective conference in the Northwest. That is our report.